When we take a Hampton Down circuit at around 3 kilometres, you've got Manfield a little bit more, you've got Ruapuna a little bit more, you come back to Teretonga here at a 2.85. Now it gives us an idea why we see, of course, that the lap times get down to that magic 1 minute barrier. As we check it out now, our lightweight production and 250 production. Now these are two classes. First of all, lightweight, a brand new class this year, but 250 production, our records are not showing. It's been a reinstigated class. It was around many years ago, a different configuration of bikes, but still the same name. And the question's been asked about lap times for these. And so effectively, we're going to start this weekend with a clean slate, and we'll be keen to find out and maybe talk to Grant Ramage as for what sort of times he recalls with 250 production. But our previous 250 class was called a Pro Light. It was under a different name, a different engine configuration, and arguably so too was the old days of the two-stroke bikes when these are now four-stroke. So you could argue that the new 250 production deserved to have their own times, and since its reinstigation, we haven't been at Hampton, wash your mouth, Neil, at Teretonga, so we haven't seen those times. Ready to get away, watching for that start down on the inside, and 15 there, Dennis Charlotte looking on that KTM to get the start, but I'll tell you what, Tim MacArthur in the jump on him, Tim MacArthur up through the middle and looking good, and quickly Dennis Charlotte looking to tuck him behind him, try and get a slipstream advantage. I think he's realised that he wasn't going to be able to get that inside run, and nice to join us, Spider Stables. First of all, Spider, the sun shines at Teretonga. You can't ask to look at a better picture than you see that loop at a place like Teretonga here today.
No, certainly not, and they were predicting winds today, but there's very little. There's a little bit of a breeze out there, but certainly nothing to affect the racing in terms of slowing down speeds at all. I expect to see several lap records broken today. Certainly in a couple of classes, people are knocking on that door, and in the Pro Twins, I think Dennis Charlotte's already gone under lap record time. So. Beautiful conditions. We had a bit of a grey cloud come over this morning, but as quick as it did, it disappeared. And wet conditions yesterday, and a lot of the riders elected to sit it out until they saw some other people go out and thought, oh, well, we better get out there and have a play. And it gave them some miles, and because the weather wasn't being predicted as being wet, so they got out there in the end and looking out onto the front straight for the first lap, Neil Ritchie.
Yes, indeed, and great to watch. And of course, two classes here, they are completely separate, so we'll be keen just to talk about them. The older 250 production class, the newer and faster lightweight production, which we'll see up the front of the field. Look at that for the slipstream. Dennis up on the inside of Tim MacArthur. Good to watch, good to watch. I wonder whether he came out a little bit too early. Perhaps he had the slingshot, was ready to go, and we'll see who's going to lead it going into the corner. Will it be Dennis? Dennis right on the inside, yes indeed, and looking good. So Dennis, in fact, to get that advantage. So Dennis Charlotte, Tim MacArthur, you'll see one in the dark. That is Dennis, Tim in the light. So they'll be reasonably easy to pick up if you're looking to see just who's in front, but seem very close together. One of those, a 300cc bike, the other 390, but of course the 300 is a twin. Whereas the 390 is a single. Dennis just a slight overshoot. The idea we went out wide on the corner, and that was a gap big enough for Tim MacArthur just to say, I'm going to try and back on the inside. Wasn't enough room until I hit the Macaulay Ford S's, and now looking to go right down to the hairpin. So close, fast and exciting, and good to watch with Dennis Charlotte, Tim MacArthur out there. Keen to look out. I don't think we've got Joseph Sawyer here today. So Joseph, the local Canterbury man, making the sacrifice and not being with us. And I think he'll probably turn up being just 2 hours down the road at Timaru from his home base in Canterbury next week. But Spider, somebody like Joseph, what a pity we couldn't have seen his talent roll on through the series.
Yeah, certainly. We seen him on the podium last weekend, and a young up-and-coming rider, and it was a pleasure to have him and his father Paul around the pits. And I was calling him Joe Sawyer all weekend. Paul's an Englishman and calls him Joseph, but and he just lives for motorcycling. In fact, the young guy is named after Joey Dunlop, and he's got a sister called Zoe, because that was the closest female name as they could get to Joey, and that's the addiction to motorcycling sports. You've got Dennis Charlotte comes out of the big sweeper in the lead with Tim MacArthur right in behind them. A single cylinder bike versus a twin cylinder. A little bit of CC difference. Now there's two classes on the track. Last weekend they all qualified together. I'm thinking they're doing the same. It was all about safety. I noticed the top 9, I think, bikes were all 300s here, so obviously the longer legs down the front straight prove the advantage here. But they are classed separately, and you'll notice that there's two different number boards for those watching at the track and watching live. You've got the white numbers on a blue background for the 300 lightweight, and the white numbers, I think, on an orange background for the 250 production. And 250 production's come a long way in the last 3 years since it was instigated, and it was a Kawasaki dominated class. There was the occasional higher-sung 250 out there, and now with the introduction of the lightweight class, we've got 3 brands here. We've got the KTM, we've got the Yamaha, and we've got the Kawasaki out there right now. It is another KT, or the KTM of Dennis Charlotte. Didn't even get any practice up until today. He'd ridden around here plenty of time and brought down his 2 bikes, and says, oh, a bit lazy to do it yesterday, but business and all that commitments. But look at the way he's not dominating it, but he's still got the lead there as another lap ticks over here at Teretonga. Tim MacArthur up on the outside, maybe Neil Ritchie.
1, 2, then 3, 4, 5. Taking a look at this now with our lightweights. So they're the faster bikes. Here's the example. Now look out for the 250 production. Should be Jacob Stroud we watch coming into Castrol now. So keen to look out for young Jacob, and looks a different bike. Does that look like his coloured leathers? Oh, hard to see, hard to see. Hopefully it was, because that's where we saw the resulting go from that previous one. So he's in 6th place. First 250 production bike ahead of Lewis Dray from Alex Bowers. That Bowers Racing team, Spider. What a grand job they do in their bike preparation. Love to see that. No matter where they're placed, doesn't have to be the most professional by the support or sponsorship they're receiving. But man, do they ever look good out there and give their sponsors good mileage.
Certainly, and Alex Bowers stepped down last season. I was at Methven 2 years ago at Easter, and he had a major crash there. Somebody clipped him and broke his leg, and had a real badly broken leg, and elected to sit out the season. So it's good to see him back, and it's good to see him back right at the sharp end as well, with several podiums last weekend. And right now, as Neil Ritchie said, sitting second in the 250 production class. And Johnny the old man, and does a grand job preparing these bikes. And the other thing I've got to mention too is the young fellas are diabetic as well, which they've got to manage that. So it's great to see someone with that sort of medical hindrance to their life to get out and put the full effort into it, and especially a sport like motorcycle racing.
In fact, Alex Bowers as well, I look back on the results here, Spider, a no-point score in the last race, the Grand Prix last weekend. Did you recall no-point score?
Yeah, I think he had a crash at the Christchurch Casino Carousel.
Oh yes.
And I haven't been practicing that word. I got it wrong all weekend except twice, but
yes, he did.
I think that's where he went down. Yep. And a change for the lead. And the change for the lead, yes, Tim MacArthur's gone up, coming onto the front straight on the inside of Dennis Charlotte, but it looks like Dennis Charlotte popped out there in the front spot. Now, it's all about slipstreaming down this front straight there. Dennis Charlotte, in fact, it's too much of a break there, I think, to get a proper slipstream. There's probably 15 bike lengths between the first and second bike, number 15 and number 39. So Dennis Charlotte leads there. In 3rd place there, number 50, Grant Ramage from Timaru. This man here was among 5 people that set a lap record at Manfield a couple of years ago in the 250 class. That's how hot the class was contested. We had a 14-year-old, a 17-year-old, and Grant Ramage, I think it was 52 back then, all set lap records, and there was a couple of others amongst them. Tim MacArthur was another one as well. So Grant Ramage in a good solid 3rd place. Bought himself a Kawasaki 300 to compete in this class, and then his sponsor Timaru Yamaha says, no, we've got to have you on a brand new Yamaha R3, and what a well presented bike this machine is. And Grant Ramage absolutely flying there in 3rd place. And
it is a well presented bike too, and I've got to say full credit to Grant. And I'll tell you what, the other thing he's done is he's made it look like it's a new class as well, with a new classy looking bike as well. So nice to see. A lot of other people just want to make their bikes look, shall we say, plain. A little bit drab, but I tell you what, that one for Grant, for a man over 50, I just love his attitude. He's so positive for the sport, making a serious contribution and assisting in our Road Race Commission as well. And these champs, of course, will be the quality organiser for next weekend's round number 3. It is home area of South Canterbury and the South Canterbury Motorcycle Club track at Levels near Timaru. So looking forward to that round immensely. Always a good one with Grant at the helm. So there we go, the Dennis Charlotte show back in town. He's pulled out that buffer, as Spider has been suggesting, over the run of Kawasaki rider and Tim MacArthur. So here we go, Spider. Now we've got that perhaps point of difference, whereby not the tightest of corners, like a hairpin that you've got where Tim MacArthur could be said to be favouring. You know, the likes of the one at down by the Rock FM sweeper, corners like that through the Dunlop dipper. There are 3 quite tight parts on Ruapuna. You haven't got a part of this track that's as tight, and the longer straight as well, maybe just giving 390 cc's a head advantage over 300 cc's today.
Yeah, I often wonder too about the power to weight ratio with the, as far as the riders' sizes. Although Dennis Charlotte and both Tim MacArthur have got to be both very, very tight, lean men. There wouldn't be much weight difference in between them. Just a question for the listeners out there. We've got a live chat going on through Ctas live timing. Very, very popular. A lot more popular than it was last weekend. There's a question out there. What's the old 250 lap record? White flags out there. Dennis Charlotte's in the lead, followed by Tim MacArthur. What is the old 250 lap record? We're going to go and tap Grant Ramage on the shoulder and see whether he knows that, but yeah, we've got to find that one out. A change of position there for about 5th or 6th place. It was Grant Ramage going through. Kevin Goddard and Gavin Veltmeyer moved up there as they went across the start-finish line. So the white flag's out. Not even a complete lap to go for the leading bikes as we see number 62 go through there on the start-finish line.
Well, there we go, and keen to look out for our battle to go on here, because those next places will be oh so important as we see the buffer, and in fact it is between Grant Ramage and Kevin Goddard. Kevin Goddard, what a man, that is fantastic, and that's the 300 versus the 325, the Kawasaki, the 300 cc 2-cylinder 4-stroke. The Yamaha's new YZF R3 is of course at 325, so 25 cc difference. Not a lot, but hey, making a difference maybe from the point of view of a long straight like this. Those extra kilometres could right be there. All right, keen to look out, white flag, but getting close to that checkered at the moment. Dennis Tim, here we go, looking out for it. Dennis, yes, Dennis on the inside, there it is, checkered flag time. Dennis Tim very close in the end, nothing between those guys at 0.6, so less than 1 second, a fraction over half of 1 second. Click your fingers twice for that kind of buffer, and here we go for another beauty. And I think it's going to be, yes, the Yamaha to do it. Good work, super close, super fine, and well done to Kevin Goddard, Mr. Race Supplies. What a race, right in behind the great Grant Ramage through there, so good work, guys. They are 3rd and 4th, remembering we were looking for 5th as well, and that will hopefully be Gav Velt.